Dollar Archangel.
I was actually looking through your CV, and I saw The Woman. So I thought someone's written a show where they've just called you The Woman, and then I was like, oh,
and
shit.
it was. You were in it.
That was us.
Did anyone actually click on the did we have names?
We had our own names, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that part. Didn't put that in the CV.
It was a long time ago.
It was.
It's getting on for 9 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Was it you? You weren't even able to go out for a drink, were you? I don't think you were. Or was that you or Katie? Someone wasn't old enough to actually drink. Oh, she couldn't drink. Okay.
She was the year below us. We were in the second year, so we literally probably all. Well, not you.
What?
I think we'd all turned 18, but I think you were a little bit older, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was 20. I think Dave was older. Dave was 21.
Oh, look at us all. Now we're really old.
I know. It's starting to take its toll.
Still not as old as you, though.
Yeah, all right. But you're older now than I was when I went to Edinburgh.
How's that make you feel?
Gosh, yeah. I do feel old. My birthday's next month, and I'm like, no, 2020 doesn't count. I'm not adding that year on.
It shouldn't, should it? I was all right then. My birthday was in January, so.
So you were back when things were normal.
Yeah, back when it was all black and white.
Yeah.
Hashtag Performing Arts with John Ellis-Benton. And in this week's episode,
Julia Louise.
let's get on to you anyway.
Okay.
Where did the acting come from? Who was it? Was it someone in your family? Did you just like watch a load of films and think I want to do that?
Well, I started off doing ballet at the age of probably just under 3. So I went straight into it. And I did ballet till I was 13. But during that time, I did loads and loads of shows, and I did quite a few recordings for teaching ballet. So they would use me as like the person to record to then put it on tapes.
You were the little ballet puppet.
I was the ballet puppet, yeah. And because I was always so small, I swear they used to say I was about 3 when really I was 6, and they were like, look how good that 3-year-old is. We're going to send our, kids to that school. So I've always performed, and it was a massive part of my life, like growing up. And then when I was about 13, I realised actually I prefer the acting side because there was more variety to play, and you could be more creative. So took acting as you always do in school if you're a performer, and then carried on into college and university. And I think that's why, as an actor, I'm very physical. So my acting's always been very physical theatre, movement, dance based, because that's where I'm more comfortable. So I think vocal things, I'm probably the worst actor because I hate speaking on stage as much as moving, but I like to be very active.
Yeah, that is a funny thing to get into if you don't actually like talking. I think being an actor, you've got to have a bit of a narcissistic side, really. You've got to not enjoy necessarily, but you've got to be semi-comfortable watching yourself and listening to yourself. So if you don't enjoy doing that, that was a funny thing to go for.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it. I think I'm just stronger at the physical side. And because I go into, my interest is very much physical theatre. So a lot of my shows, I do a mixture. So I'll be very active, and then I'll do some kind of like vocal and speech and text and dialogue. But it depends what it is, to be fair. I don't mind. I just don't like massive, huge monologues because I'm not very good at the speaking in general life.
I don't know. That was something I'd never have associated with you. I know that obviously you're very physically fit, and you were in college. You have bigger biceps than all of us. But yeah, you're doing that. So and then we went to Edinburgh, of course. When we did the lockdown video for Cloud A, you spoke quite passionately about Edinburgh. Have you been back since?
I've not, and it's one of my really big bugbears that have not gone back. But I've always wanted to go back. So I know whenever we've had an opportunity or there's been a really good show, it's always me being like, "Can we go to Edinburgh? Can we take it?" And I just think actually, during the last 10 years, when we finish uni, we're doing shows, we're active. I find the financial side of acting and performing arts really, really hard. And we're kind of stuck with having part-time and freelance jobs. And yeah, I find that the struggle of general life and trying to be an actor and bring shows, the financial part is really hard. So it's not for want of trying. It's more of it's just being poor.
Yeah, because when we went up, Dean, Context, who's a friend of ours, he took up his own show at the same time, and didn't it cost him? It put a dent in at least $2,500, didn't it? Just of his own money. And you don't go up there to make profit. No,
and that was 10 years ago.
So although it's an amazing place to go, it's a bit of a bitch on your pocket because everyone just assumes that actors are happy to be paid in exposure, when we've got our bills to pay as well.
Yeah, that doesn't feed me. In the last, say, 8 years then, I find everyone's trying to find their feet. So for me, it was like trying to find somewhere to live and trying to find a job to get by between jobs. And it's such a shame that we live in a place, like in an economy that is that hard. You have to sacrifice so much to afford the job that you love.
Yeah, it's certainly not like any other job. You can't just sort of, I mean, I suppose you can, but only in very rare cases. But you can't just join at the bottom of a company, work your way up, get to executive level. It's not like that. It's very, very picky.
But I would definitely go. I mean, like, if ever you want to go to Edinburgh, holler me, because I will take annual leave and I will go.
I am dying to go back. It just makes you wonder when it's all going to be open again, doesn't it? With all this. Yeah.
And wasn't it just the most incredible experience?
Yeah, because like when you're at home, when you're at uni, and you're trying to get people to come and see your shows and your performances, they don't really care. They're just coming along because they're your family or your mates. Go up to Edinburgh, everyone's there for Edinburgh Fringe. And it makes the world a difference because people actually want to watch the shows. Yeah.
They actually come because they like the sound of it.
Yeah.
And the mile and when you're leafleting and rehearsing in the field opposite where you stay in, and traipsing all your stuff up big hills into your site. And
I mean, we might have had a very different experience to other people because obviously it's Edinburgh and it's Britain. But when we went up, it was amazing weather. It was like heat wave for a fortnight.
Yeah.
It was just glorious because you'd just spend 8 hours trying to fly her and you'd be on top of someone's shoulders or hanging off someone's back. I don't know.
I was in so many random places.
That's a good thing. You're so petite and you're so physically fit. You're just versatile. You can go anywhere. Julia, do a handstand on my head. All right.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, that will get the attention.
Yeah, and oft times it had absolutely nothing to do with the show at all. It was a fact of, look at us, we're doing a show. Look. It's
a competitive thing. Who can like almost get higher, or who can stand out the most?
Yeah, health and safety probably would not have signed any of it off, but who cares? It was fun, and it was very drunk as well, if you remember. Perhaps you don't remember.
Like I said, vocally, I'm not that strong. So when I drink, especially when I perform, my voice goes. So I had to give birth as well on the stage for 12 nights and go out, get drunk, and then and then do it again the next day and leaflet all day. I don't know. I think by the end of it, I was just a mere whisper.
And you can swear, by the way. You hesitated on drunk, but you can say absolutely twatted.
Okay, I was absolutely shit-faced every single night and making amazing memories in these pubs with everyone.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Great show. They got 5 stars.
It did. Oh, yeah. 5-star Edinburgh Fringe show, just for the record. So from there, that was obviously done with Cough College. So you went to Northampton. Why Northampton? Out of all the unis that were there?
Well, because I didn't get in any drama schools.
Oh, okay.
I'll be quite frank. I applied for, I didn't get into LIPA, but then that's LIPA. Manchester Met, I really liked, but now I'm really glad I didn't go. No offence, Metters. Because I just sort of love Northampton, actually. And then I didn't even go to my central audition, that drama school, because I was like, I know I'm not going to get in. I haven't got £50 to pay for the audition, so...
You had to pay for the audition?
Yeah, so all your auditions for drama schools you have to pay for.
Oh my God. That's just even worse, isn't it? That's another kick in the teeth.
Exactly. So, and then Northampton was my safe bet, if that makes sense. But I went to the audition there and I got a conditional, but I hated it. I was like, I'm never going there again. And then that was the only place I got into. So I was going to defer, and my mum just said, do you know what? Just go, see what it's like. And then I can honestly say, for personal reasons as well, like we got everything and more, I think, in Northampton. We got all the stage combats, we got all the opportunities to work at the Royal in Derngate. I then worked like backstage tech. And then obviously when my dad passed away while I was in my first year, so I had the last term of my first year completely off to go and care for him. And I cannot rate them enough. They were absolutely amazing. They offered me grievance counselling after. They came back and it was literally like I'd not even gone. Oh, and then everyone was just so supportive, and all the teachers were like, you good? Yeah? You all right? Cool? Office is there if you need a tea? Sound? And they were just amazing. They pushed me into loads of stuff.
Oh, that's great. I was going to ask about that sort of period of your life, actually.
Because
I'm very open.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Get a picture. Put it up.
Thank God this is only audio.
Yeah.
I was going to ask because obviously you lost your dad several years ago now. You were quite.
Yeah, I was. So he had cancer, the big C. He had it in his bowel and then spread to his liver. So from diagnosis to death was 6 months. So it was really quick. The time of that was just like obviously crazy because you have to be the parent. And my dad he looked like an Italian mafia. He was 25 stone of absolute bruteness. Everyone was scared of him, except obviously I had him like wrapped. When he had the chemo, he had, like the air would obviously hurt him. And I'd be like, put your fucking scarf on. He'd be like, no. I'm like, fucking put your scarf on now. And he'd be like, no. And I'd be like, I swear to God, we're not going out of this place until you put take your tablets. And, and he was proper like.
So he probably needed your kick-ass attitude to help him along. With that going on, even if someone doesn't pass away at the end, it's traumatic, to say the very least. But that didn't deter you at all, because obviously he did pass away at the end of it, and you wanted to go into this business, but I think that'd probably be enough to stop anyone in their tracks to just say, all right, I'm just going to put my head down, work, get a house. But that didn't happen to you.
No, actually, that spurred on my own theatre company, which I'm just so grateful for it. So I remember going into the hospital once, like I was 19 at the time, and I went into the hospital and some lady was there, with the banners, and she kind of called me over and said, we do art therapy for, young people, for young carers. And I was like, what? That's amazing. Turns out I was too old. But I said to her, I was like, because I think it went up to 17, right, okay. And I was like 19, coming on to 20. And I said to her, I was like, what's all that about? And she told me that it's like respite for young carers, for them to kind of have a free therapy in a creative aspect and outlet for them. And I was like, oh, do they do drama therapy? And she was like, obviously you can be a drama therapist, but we don't do that at young carers at the moment. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it. So from day one, I remember I went back to uni because I'd always been interested in becoming a drama therapist, because I love working with young people and the psychology side and the drama. So I was like, great. But I never really pointed myself to young carers before, even though I've been a young carer, I just didn't know it was out there. And then I went back into uni, went into the office and said, I know what I want to do. I want to be a drama therapist and I want to work with young carers and vulnerable young people. Like, that is what I want to do. So in my head, I thought, right, go to uni, which really helped at uni because I knew what I wanted to absorb and what I could, like, if I was rubbish at vocals, that's fine. I don't need that because it's not part of my plan. Met as many people as I can and networked as much as I can. And then, yes, I went to the young carers with my little folder at 20. And I was like, oh, I want to work with you guys. I said I couldn't be a drama therapist because I wasn't qualified, obviously. I have to do my masters and things. And I'm still wanting to do that, but later on in the future. So, yeah, and then they said that would be great. So I just did some workshops with them just for drama respites. And then that got me into working with young people in Northampton and the theatre. And honestly, if I had not met that woman, while obviously my dad was in hospital, I don't know, actually. I don't know if it would have stopped me going because I would have carried on anyway. But I maybe would have lost a lot of passion and not dealt with it as the drive and the force through to make something positive out of it.
Yeah. So that was the catalyst, which I think that's pretty amazing, to be fair, because normally when someone goes into this, they're just like, yeah, I want to be in Hollywood, I want to be in the West End, and it's like those are the only two, or, you know, Coronation Street, those are the only three sort of end games for everyone, as if that's all acting can do. But actually what you found out was that it can be a sort of mental health, even physical health, well, a therapy.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a lot of people realise is actually the case. It's sort of a corner of performing arts, and I don't think a lot of people are really aware of it. So that was your target from that moment. You were just like, that's what I'm going to do because that's there. That's amazing. So what kind of path do you have to go down to get there?
So it's very expensive. I don't know if you realise, but I talk about this money and the financial things a lot because it really pees me off.
No, go for it. That's exactly what this is here for.
Yeah, and I'm just like, just let me do my job, and that I'll go into what I do now, and I do love it. But so I would go, obviously did my degree in performing arts acting, and then you would go on to a drama therapy masters. Whereas at the time, there was only 3 places that were doing the courses. So there was Derby Central School of Speech and Drama, and I can't remember the other one, but it would have cost me £22,000 to, because I wanted to go to Central because it was all drama and movement therapy. So obviously I want movement. So that was like, I read the course and was like, oh. But yeah, with the course fees, the living down there, like the living, eating, sleeping, renting, all that lot. And you have to pay for all of your therapy throughout. So you need to go through therapy as well yourself, and you have to shadow other therapists and do your course. So you need, I think, 40 hours of your own therapy at £50-60 an hour. So it worked out, it was £22,000. And I was like, there is just no way I can do that. Like, I physically haven't got the money to move down there. When I actually left uni, I was homeless for 3 months. So I definitely didn't have the money to go on to do my master's that time.
Well, first of all, how come you were homeless?
So there was a new renting rule, not a rule, like a license, a HPO license that landlords needed to have for people that aren't related to rent a house. And so I graduated in July, and the new rule the license came out in July. So nobody in Northampton that wanted to stay and rent, you know, like as a professionals together could actually get a place. So everyone kind of went home, but I was working in the theatre and in the pub, and I was training to be an acting practitioner. So I had literally nowhere, but I did have a car. So I hate saying homeless because I wasn't on the streets. I was really fortunate, but I was sofa surfing, eating at the pub. I was washing at the uni and going to shower, and then just being like really resourceful. So, and then after 3 months, I ended up getting my partner at the time, we ended up, don't know how, but getting this little tiny studio flat that had one radiator in the whole lot and condensation on the walls. And
I mean, as if there's not enough hurdles for someone in performing arts to have to get over anyway. There was yet another fucking hurdle, which literally made you homeless.
But I'm not, yeah, and again, like, that's why I think it is really difficult. But so I slept in my car quite a few times, and I had a few security guards knock on my door and be like, "You can't sleep here." And I was like, "Okay, I'll move." So I'll go and like drive like down the road. And but I tell you what, it sounds awful, but I had a blast. Oh, I met so many people. I got so drunk because I didn't have to drive anywhere, and like you just made the best of it, really.
Well, yeah, I guess you'd have to, but that's horrendous that circumstances in this day and age forced you into that position. The place that you wanted to go, was it asking 22 grand, you said it was? This was after uni, so it wasn't through student finance?
Yeah, so I was going to go, I would have liked to have gone straight into my master's, but at the time, the 10,000 student finance for the master's, that wasn't around. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'll just do what I can, work where I can, create, like, be a freelance. But even then, I still couldn't afford the other 12 grand. So
were there no other options available? I mean, where did you look? Did you look into
can't even think
like bursaries and things?
Yeah, bursaries,
loans and.
The words escaping me. I can't think what it is. So you couldn't. There was nothing else available.
No, not that I knew of at the time. And then I just thought, you know what? Because I was working at the theatre in the education part and doing the job that I loved, I thought, okay, well, if I'm honest, I was doing the job, the drama therapy throughout the projects and freelance work that I was doing. It was just a piece of paper that I needed. So it did get to a point where I was like, well, I'm doing the job now. It's just I'm not obviously getting paid as a therapist, and I'm not in that role. So I've let life kind of and work take me where I'm going. But it's definitely something I really, really hope that I do it. But I'd be happy in my 40s to be like, right, okay, I've got the money behind me now. I want to be a drama therapist, and I can still do that. I can still retrain and use all the skills and the life experience. So that's the way I'm looking at it now.
Scholarship. That's the word I was after.
No, there isn't any scholarships. Like I said, there really wasn't many courses that did it. I found 3 in the UK, which is just bizarre.
And that's a horrendously small number considering how many people it could help. I don't know. Beggars belief. But during this time you were still going on stage, regardless of the fact that you don't like speaking. A Clockwork Orange. That's one I wanted to ask you about. I've not seen it personally. It's a bit of a sore subject if ever I bring it up, because everyone just points and laughs at me. But I'm one of those people who wants to read the book before I watch the film, so like I earn the right to watch the film, if you know what I mean. But with a role like that, I mean, how big of a role is Dr. Brodsky?
So Dr. Brodsky was the doctor that
Dr. Brodsky was the doctor. Thanks for clearing that up.
He was the guy that I can't remember the word, like brainwashed and like retrained Alex's, the main character, his brain. He's the one that did all the opera music. I'm going to be awful now because I'm like trying to remember the storyline, even though it's so famous. Oh my gosh, as well, funny because it's the vocal thing. So they're in my 3rd year. That's when we get the directors to come in and they put on professional shows, and we do it in the Royal and Durngate Theatre. So there was 3 different shows. The one that I got in was a physical theatre show. So we did Clockwork Orange, very physical. So I was like, buzzing, yes, I'm going to be physical. And then he said to me, but you're always physical, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, like, I love it. So I'm going to give you a vocal role. And I was like, what? He made me stand so still with a microphone and do, it was doing about 2 or 3 pages worth of a monologue. And I had more lines, obviously, and we all played like multi-characters. There wasn't many of us in the cast. But I remember just looking at him like, and he said, but this is your 3rd year. Do you know, you need to put yourself out there and gain your confidence, because it's all in my head. I know that I can speak and I can do shows and talk, and I've done them for you, and you know, we've been in lots of shows together. And he was like, I can almost see him like laughing. I didn't like Clockwork Orange, the storyline. It's very triggery, and it's very, there was violence, there was rape, there was just so much awfulness. There was like miscarriages, and it's a horrible story. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so I've heard. Anthony Burgess, isn't it? He as far as I understand, he's got a very naughty mind, very strange mind.
Yeah, and while he wrote Clockwork Orange, he was grieving for the loss of his son. It was his son, and I don't know if it was. You might have to fact check, so please don't quote me on it. I'm sure it was his loss of his son. But what happened in the Clockwork Orange? His wife gets raped, and that actually happened in his real life. So I think that's why there is so much in that show that is so incredibly uncomfortable. But when we watched it, obviously the performance, and we read the script and the book, I had to watch the movie, I think, in about 4 stages, because I physically couldn't watch the whole thing.
Is it that bad?
I mean, for me personally, yeah, I was not a fan.
No, that's fair enough. You can't always love what you're working on, because it is... Sometimes there is some very questionable material, but with because it's such an iconic book, was that difficult for you? Did you find yourself not wanting to watch the film? So, I mean, I heard you mention, like I say, I haven't seen it, but you mentioned Brodsky was a bloke, and obviously you're playing her in this stage play. So, were you at all drawn to watching, the Kubrick film to try and get some inspiration, or were you just like, okay, because I'm a woman and that's a guy, it's going to be completely different?
To be fair, the whole show was so abstract. I really don't think it matters. I was in this big white lab coat, and then you get like rubber gloves, like the marigolds.
Yeah.
Now imagine them that farmers used on cows. I was wearing red ones of those, and but everyone was in just such weird costume. I think I had Elton John glasses on, and it was really weird.
So it was very stylized.
Yeah, very stylized. And to be fair, they did all the sexual scenes very gracefully, I must say. They did do well. But yeah, I to be fair, I just kind of went at it, and I think I was more consumed about remembering the lines and speaking them without stuttering. Dr. Brodsky is very rigid, so he doesn't move around. He's very kind of stuck in his way, and he's didn't really care about anyone else except for Alex. That was his project.
So how difficult was that then? Because when you start training in drama, it's always drummed into you, use the space. Was it difficult to just try and be static, or was that what comes natural because you have to force yourself to use the space?
Yeah, I think it was the most difficult thing I've had to do, was to stand still and talk to an audience. How bizarre is that?
Yeah, because that's sort of a safety net when you first start out, isn't it? Because your nerves are there. You're just like, I don't want to move. I'm just going to pick a spot and I'm going to stare at it. But that says a lot for you. It says a lot about your confidence that you've come that way. That you don't like being sort of introvert in front of people.
Oh yeah, I'm prancing all over the place. Like I said, I find comfort in movement. That's my comfort zone. So when I am standing in front of, I think there was 1,500 people there, I think, because it is a real theatre, the Royal Theatre. I could again be wrong, but either way,
that's what Google's for. If anyone cares that much, they'll get on Google.
And then they'll troll me later. Like, what are you on about? There's only 10. I think I was just probably really more sore about not being able to do my movement.
But that's fair enough. Like I say, you can't be expected to love everything. I mean, when you get to a certain massively successful level, you can say, I like the look of that, I'll do that. But at this stage, you're working and you're getting graded. You can't pick and choose. Well, let's talk about your job, because what was it you said to me? I've got my sources already. So it's like you're a youth service manager for YMCA. How did this come about then? Was this a stepping stone, or was this close to what you wanted to do that you thought, yeah, I'm going to go for this?
I fell into it, I suppose, but I'm so glad, because I absolutely love it. So, but taking back to where I kind of went to work with young people, because I never really, obviously I knew I wanted to work with young carers, but that was a very set goal. So I thought, right, I need to learn how to work with young people. So during uni, I worked at the Royal and Dangate Theatre, again, doing backstage Tory dresser and getting pants for people and ironing them and making sure they've got them at the side of the set and all that. And then I worked in the education department, shadowing their practitioner do drama workshops in schools, like educational drama workshops. And then straight after uni, that's why I had to stay in Northampton, because I was training to be a practitioner. And then once I did that, I freelanced for 3 years, and I went into hundreds and hundreds of schools. I taught every subject under the sun, but in a dramatic way. I did like holiday camps, so we did half-term projects with young people, after school stuff. So everything that I was doing drama-wise was all teaching it, and I absolutely adored it. I was like, this is the best feeling ever. And then reality hit, and I had to move home. So I was still freelance while I was at home, just because I couldn't afford renting anymore. And then I was like, oh, this is really hard. Like, it's good hourly pay, but if you're only getting paid an hour for that week, it's not that great. I ended up becoming a TA in a school, just so I can have the holidays to then still teach drama.
So this wasn't a drama TA. This was something to make ends meet.
Yeah, this is a primary school TA. And then weirdly enough, from that, I ended up becoming an unqualified teacher, because I ended up teaching in year 6. And then I was going to do my teaching qualification, but I just knew, I was like, I really don't want to be a statutory teacher. And I've got my own reasons for that. And I love teachers, and I think they're the unsung heroes. But I just was like, I didn't want to go down that route. Then I went to YMCA. So I was coordinating all of the youth work. So youth clubs, intervention programs for kind of like anti-violence, for child sexual exploitation, criminal exploitation, female empowerment, male mentoring. So I got to actually create those projects. So from my freelance of creating like holiday projects, and I did lots of other jobs in the meantime when there were really big scale projects, and I would manage those. So for the youth work coordinator, it was great because I was having the project management, and I was also working with young people directly, like really vulnerable, disadvantaged young people that had been through trauma. So it was all about recovery. And that was my baby. So just over 18 months ago, I went in, and it needed a good restructure. And I did. So in the last 18 months, we restructured it. It literally is my baby. All the programs, all of the youth clubs, all of the actual young people are like my children. And I just, the feeling you get when you've worked, say, 3 weeks with a group of young people that have been exploited, and you've then got the feedback after, because, you know, you're getting them into role model talks, that you're getting them into other opportunities. I've had girls go to Geneva. I've had, there's loads. I talk about race in London at like different organisations, be part of the Coventry Youth Partnership, which is a big partnership that work with young people. So yeah, that when you get the feedback to be like, oh, that's changed my life, or I would never be in this position if it wasn't attending the programme, meeting the people that I did, and gaining the confidence, and you just see young people develop. And for me, that is just amazing. And I can still be, when I'm in a youth club, I'm exactly like I am in a studio. I'm silly, I'm loud, we play all the drama games, we play, you know, like just everything. And I think having that background makes you more relatable. They want to come to you and know that you're not a teacher, you're not a parent, you're not, you know, their social worker or part of the police. You know, you can talk to me, and I will talk to you like a real person. I don't know if you can tell, but I am really, really passionate about it. I love it.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. And I mean, from some of the, you can hear some bad stories coming out of those places. How challenging is it? Do you get unpleasant experiences? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to belittle the work that you do, because it obviously helps people. But there must be hard times that university, acting, drama school don't prepare you for.
100%. This is like, I think if you're a youth worker, you've got to have something about yourself.
This is where them massive biceps will come into play.
Not even joking. I mean, I've had like gangs of young people like threatening me, and you know, they're shouting in your face, and the amount of times I've had to, you know, call police to the centres, and we've had people you know, kicking down the doors and screaming in your face, and there's been bits of, obviously, knife crime at the moment. It's massive. So there's like safeguard, and it isn't just going to a youth club or organising a youth club. They're all happy as Larry. Like, no, it's okay. Well, so and so, you know, they've got a family court case that's, you know, that's coming up in a month's time, so this young person might be feeling like this or might act out, and you know, you're always tailoring. The way I look at it, and the same with drama and working with young people, say as a drama therapist, drama or youth club, that is just a host. That is just an actual activity to do whilst you're doing all of that work during that activity. So if I was to then, I don't know, play Connect 4, that's the most basic youth work game I don't know why I've said that, but that is, they're very, very competitive. But I can then have them conversations with these young people. You know, how's your week been? Oh, what, you know, what's been going on at home, or you know, how's school, or what's that subject like? But then it's also, oh, okay, you know, so and so's passed away, and how's that making you feel? Yeah, that's really rubbish, you know. And you're getting into that nitty gritty, or oh, actually, I know a number that you can call if you want to talk to somebody, you know, with the childline numbers. Or you might hear someone say, oh, so and so's maybe done something very inappropriate, or they've noticed something, and then we have to take that on and take that further to, you know, different organizations and local authority. And you can literally save lives by doing youth clubs and listening to the conversations, what's going on, that will never come out in other like circumstances. And doing social actions and making, I can go on forever. I've not got a coat. Why? Because there's poverty in, you know, in the household, and they can't get a coat even though it's December, or there's no electric, so you can do, okay, well, let's get you some fuel cards. And I've learned, honestly, so much.
Well, it's, I think, obviously, you know me, I can be crude and brash and whatnot, but you know, even a knobhead like me can appreciate how amazing that sounds, because it's a bit of a cliche to say, but obviously there's two sides to every story. And you're the person that gets to see the other side, whereas these people going through the problems, they're just going to be judged on the street, that kind of thing. So it's amazing that they've got people like yourself there.
No, I do hope so. The communities that we work in, they have like the best stuff going on. Like, for example, Halloween. I remember Halloween got to a point where nobody, like, the kids aren't out, they're not playing out, they're not trick-or-treating, they're not dressing up, no one's putting pumpkins on, they're turning the lights off. But no, you go in these communities. I thought, I was like, right, it's Halloween, it's going to kick off. I'm going to have all my staff
and
there.
And just to confirm, this wasn't Halloween 2020?
No, it wasn't. 2019. Anyway, we were like, right, okay, just about to open the doors. Nobody turned up, right? And I was like, what's going on? Oh my gosh, everybody was going house to house, dressed up, everyone was talking to each other, and I had the best night ever. And I was like, this is what it is. And I could drive and park up, and I'd have at least 3 people knocking on the door like, Julia, what are you doing? Oh, I've got my scooter, do you want to see me do this bunny hop over the curb? Like, yes I do, because that's what kids are supposed to do, and I absolutely love it.
Look how happy you are just talking about it.
You did a bunny hop, I'm so happy.
Well, that's good, because it works both ways. It makes them happy, it makes you happy, so it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, and it's just great. Like I said to you, I'm very grateful to you because you keep asking me back, but I really don't want to lose my performing streak of like just performing, because that's what makes me, my little soul, happy. So when people like yourself and Dean as well, you know, ask, do you want to come and do the show? Unless I really can't, which is, I think there was only 1 year where I was doing the house and I had no time at all. Yes, get me involved.
Yeah, and you will be invited every single time if we can have you, if there's place to get you in, which we'll make place to get you in. Even the Cradle of Cruel Mistress, I wrote you a part.
You did.
You were getting in there.
I know where you were like, you actually said, Julia, I've got a part that I've written for you, so I really hope you say yes. And I was like, yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think, it's not very often you write something with, that's not true. I was about to say you don't write it with people in mind. You always write it with someone in mind. And obviously, you know, that part was just shouted Julia from every angle.
Because I can get away with being a 14-year-old boy.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that. I happened to, and this was something I was going to ask about, but I don't want it to sound belittling in the slightest or cheap.
It won't.
It will. But for example, someone I was working with the other night came up to me. They'd just seen the One Day More video we'd done during lockdown. They were like, "Oh, who was that girl at the bottom? She's well fit, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Obviously, you are an attractive lady," and that's the most PC way I can put it.
I grew my face myself.
That is one hell of a talent. But and like I say, I don't want this to sound cheapening. I'm certainly not coming on to you, but you are an attractive lady. Does that ever? Is that a pro or a con when you're trying to get cast for things? Are you always cast as the pretty one, the ditzy one? Do you feel like it's easier to get roles because, you know, some people, take Meryl Streep for example, that she was told she was too ugly to be an actress.
Now look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think I could count on less than 3 fingers how many times I've been a female in a show, or like a love interest. Like, I think it's been 3 times. Weirdly enough, I never get cast for my appearance. I don't think, as in facial wise. I get cast for the physicality of movement. I get cast as mythical creatures and boys. So actually, it's really not gone in my favour at all. But I think because I look, it really hasn't. And I think because I look quite young and my physique is like, it's very petite. It's very, I get the weird creatures a lot of the time. But very, very, very rarely. I got asked to play in a panto, who was it? Sleeping Beauty, because I would fit in the dress that they used the year before. Because I'm not very girly in my mannerisms and my acting skills.
No, you're not.
I'm really not. And I'm okay with it. Like, everyone, each their own, we all have our talents.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, I really want you to do Sleeping Beauty. Obviously, you need to audition because it's there and all that kind of stuff. And then I did it. And he was like, And I said, don't worry, like, I know I'm not this part. And he was like, yeah, you're not. But then he went, okay, what about Fairy Godmother? And I thought, okay. Again, the way he wanted it was very, very kind of ladylike and kind of like very feminine. And again, he was like, oh, maybe not. And then I was like, look, I was like, I really do appreciate it, but I can see that this isn't my kind of acting, and I don't want to just try and audition for a part that it's not going to fit for both of us. So I let him off the hook without being like, yeah, I don't want you. I was like, don't worry, like I don't think this is right anyway.
That's fair enough. It's like I say, because if I think it would be unfair in this day and age if people were getting cast because of their look.
I can see where you're coming from. Like, as in, I've got I think I've got a castable face, but I've got a very and also I've got a face that's very similar to a million people out there, as in the kind of chubby cheek, round face, big eyes and brown hair.
Chubby cheeks? Are you mad?
No, I can do this stuff.
Okay, yeah, all right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, you got the sort of hamster cheek going on.
But I'm very like samey. That's what I'm trying to say. Like my face is very samey. That loads and loads of other people. So I actually think if you've got more defined or unusual features, I think that works in your favour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You feel like your features are sort of 1 in a million, but your abilities, your talent isn't.
I think you meant that the other way around, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I did mean that the other way.
Do you want to ask it again and we'll cut this bit?
Can do. Yeah. Okay, so you feel like your features are 1 in a million, and no.
So you meant like, yeah, my skill set is 1 in a million.
Yes.
Even that sounds vain, but yeah, my features are very samey.
Yeah, but you want your talent to speak for you more than your looks do. We got there. There are 1,000 other questions I could ask you. That I was just looking at your CV. I was going to ask. Can I ask quickly? Actually, I want to ask before you go. Stage combat, unarmed, single sword, rapier, gauntlet, knife, broadsword, and shield.
That is all true.
That is wow. That's amazing.
qualified, got my grades, was actually accredited, graded on all of these things.
That will, in Cloud 8 shows, that will come in useful. I'm going to make sure that comes in useful.
I absolutely love it. Again, physical.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
We could have actual fights with actual shields and actual brawl straws.
When I looked at that earlier, I was just like, no, Julia, what? I couldn't imagine her being all like, you know, Lord of the Rings. But yeah, that's amazing.
I'm a ninja.
Yeah. And can I say, with your skill set and with your attitude towards your job and everything, being someone who's known you since you were a mere babe in arms, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I am. It's always amazing to talk to you and find out how well you're doing, and you're just still lovely. You're still a lovely person after all. I've become a cynical old bastard. Why aren't you like that?
Oh, I am. Like, honestly, I'm not cynical. I'm cynical about a lot of things, but when it comes to performing and young people, I'm always jolly, which is always where you see me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, I really appreciate you doing this. It really means the world, and it's been amazing to talk to you. Obviously.
You too. Thanks for having me on. I've loved it. I loved seeing your face, and I loved talking about myself now. But it's been really good to catch up.
So you look at that segue. Like, you've got to have a level of narcissism.
100%.
We've gone full circle now.
We have. I'm going to go and now look into the mirror.
I wouldn't. You've been listening to #Performing Arts, a Dumber Archangel Sounds production. Produced and edited by John Ellis-Benton. Music by Aaron Crowder. Next time.
And I was there just in the house on my own with like music playing and getting through far too much whiskey and rum of a day, just kind of going, I'll just type this bit out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was both cathartic and slightly sadomasochistic. Which is writing, isn't it? That's cathartic and masochistic, and that's how we do.
I'll take your word for that.
My liver took a hell of a pounding during that writing process, but damn it, I got it finished, and it's the longest thing I've ever written, and I was quite proud of it.